The Detroit Tigers' 2025 season ended in a way that no one in the Motor City could have possibly imagined. It wasn't just a loss, it was a collapse so heartbreaking, so gut-wrenching, that it left even their veteran announcer unable to control his emotions on live television. It was the kind of finish that turns into legend for all the wrong reasons, the kind that defines heartbreak in sports, where the line between victory and defeat becomes razor thin. The night began with hope. Fans poured into Comerica Park wearing their navy and orange, believing that maybe, just maybe, this was the year the Tigers would finally reclaim their place among the greats. The air was electric, the crowd alive with a mix of tension and optimism. Detroit had clawed their way back into contention, the young roster showing flashes of brilliance throughout the season. It wasn't supposed to end this way, not like this. From the very first inning, the game was tight. The Tigers' ace took the mound with fire in his eyes, pumping fastballs at 98 miles per hour and working his slider like a magician. The opposing team, the Minnesota Twins, had everything to lose, but they played with desperation, matching Detroit pitch for pitch, inning after inning. The scoreboard stayed frozen for most of the game, each side waiting for someone to blink. By the seventh inning stretch, fans could feel the tension in their bones. Every swing felt like it could rewrite the season's story. Comerica Park had seen its share of heartbreak before, but this game was testing everyone's limits. You could hear the nervous laughter, see the hands clasped together in prayer. Everyone in that stadium knew, one mistake could end everything. And then, it happened. In the top of the ninth, with 2 outs and runners on first and second, Detroit was clinging to a 1-run lead. The closer, who had been nearly unhittable all year, stepped in. His face was pale but determined. The count went full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. The crowd stood, roaring in unison, waving towels, chanting his name. And then came the pitch. A hanging slider. Crack. The sound echoed through the night like a gunshot. The ball soared into left center, deep, and just barely cleared the wall. 3 runs scored. Silence. Pure, awful silence. You could see it on the players' faces. Disbelief, heartbreak, fury. The dugout went still. The fans were frozen in place, mouths open, hands on heads. Some were crying. Others just stared blankly at the field, trying to process what they had just witnessed. It was the kind of moment that makes you feel time stop. The bottom of the ninth came, and Detroit had one last chance. The first batter struck out swinging. The second walked, giving the crowd a small pulse of hope. Then came the third, a deep fly ball that died at the warning track. The stadium groaned as if the life had been sucked out of it. The final batter, a rookie who had been the spark of the season, stepped up. Everyone was standing again, desperate for a miracle. First pitch, fastball, strike 1. Second pitch, curveball, strike 2. Third pitch, a heater up high. Swing and a miss. Ball game over. Season over. The camera panned to the Tigers' dugout, where players sat in silence. Helmets lay scattered. Gloves were tossed aside. Some covered their faces with towels. The realization hit like a freight train. They were done. One game away from advancing, and it slipped through their fingers in a single pitch. And that's when the broadcast captured a moment that would live in Detroit sports history. The veteran announcer, a man known for decades of professionalism, simply lost it. You could hear his voice crack as he tried to describe what had happened. Then, shockingly, he swore. Not once, but several times, unable to hold back the frustration that every fan in Detroit was feeling. Unbelievable. This damn team, he muttered live on air. How do you blow that pitch? How do you? Damn it. For a few seconds, there was stunned silence in the commentary booth. His co-host tried to interject, tried to steer the broadcast back on track, but the emotion was too raw. The veteran just kept talking. Not as an announcer, but as a lifelong fan whose heart had just been broken in front of millions. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips of his outburst spread like wildfire. Some fans defended him, saying he simply said what everyone else was thinking. Others criticized him, arguing that professionalism should never falter, even in heartbreak. But the truth was undeniable. That moment captured the soul of Detroit. Because this wasn't just a loss. It was a tragedy of hope crushed at the very end. A team that had fought through injuries, adversity, and doubt, only to crumble under the weight of one mistake. It was the embodiment of what makes sports both beautiful and cruel: the raw emotion, the unpredictability, the pain that feels almost too real. In the post-game press conference, the manager sat in front of reporters with a hollow look in his eyes. "We gave it everything," he said quietly. "That's baseball. One pitch can change everything." His words hung in the air, heavy with regret. Players spoke softly, heads down, voices trembling. The closer, whose mistake cost them the game, took full responsibility. "It's on me," he said. "I missed my spot. I'll live with it." It was the kind of accountability that made fans respect him even in defeat, but it didn't make the pain any easier. Meanwhile, the city reacted like it always does, with passion. Bars across Detroit went from celebration to silence in a heartbeat. People left the drinks half finished, shaking their heads in disbelief. On the streets, car horns that had been ready to blare in celebration went quiet. Talk radio the next morning was pure chaos. Callers yelled, cried, argued. Some said the team choked. Others blamed the coaching staff for not pulling the closer earlier. One caller simply said, "I've been watching this team for 40 years, and that's the worst feeling I've ever had." It summed up the mood of an entire city. As for the announcer, he later issued an apology, but it was one of those apologies where you could still hear the pain in every word. "I love this team," he said on air the next day. "I let my emotions get the best of me. I'm sorry for the language, but I'm not sorry for caring." That line became instantly iconic. Sports networks replayed the moment over and over, labeling it as one of the most emotional broadcasts in baseball history. Even rival fans admitted that they understood his frustration. Because when you pour your heart into a team, year after year, sometimes words just aren't enough. Sometimes only a scream, a slip, or a curse can truly express what's inside. As the days passed, the loss didn't get any easier. The players packed up their lockers. The stadium lights went dark. Winter was coming to Detroit, and with it, the long, cold silence that follows every lost season. But the echoes of that night, the sound of the crack of the bat, the crowd's gasp, and the announcer's raw outburst, would linger. For fans, this wasn't just another loss. It was a wound that would take time to heal. But in a strange way, it also showed something powerful: how deeply people care. The pain, the tears, the anger, all of it comes from love. Love for the team, for the city, for the game itself. Detroit has always been a city built on resilience. From factory floors to the ballpark, its people know how to get knocked down and stand up again. And so, as the dust settled, fans began to say the same words they've always said after heartbreak: next year. The announcer, now a viral symbol of that night, closed his next broadcast with a quiet, emotional line: "We may have lost the game, but we never lose our fight." And that, in essence, is what Detroit baseball is all about: heartbreak, hope, and the unbreakable spirit of a city that refuses to quit, no matter how many times the game ends in tears.